a two-state solution. If we want a two-state solution, we need a government, we need a recognized state, Palestinian state, that will be the first step also for two states.
Xavier Becerra, Luxembourg's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister.
We're staying with the UN General Assembly and the choice by several countries to recognize the state of Palestine. Reports say U.S. President Donald Trump will meet a group of Arab and Muslim leaders on Tuesday and present them with principles for his plan for peace and post-war governance in Gaza. We can now speak to Dr. Ambassador Mohammed Higazi, former Egyptian Assistant Foreign Minister. He joins us live from Cairo. Thank you for joining us on the program. First of all, what's your reaction to the fact that now most Western countries recognize the state of Palestine like much of the world? What difference does it make in trying to end the war there in the Middle East?
A very crucial, a very important historical movement that will push us all towards the right path to create a Palestinian state side by side to the state of Israel. And I think the two-state solution has been emphasized yesterday in a way that's been waiting for such a long time.
Two-state solution supported by much of the world, but not supported by the United States. From what it appears at the moment, full recognition of the two-state solution is not approved by the United States. Similarly, by Israel. So what happens going forward? And crucially, at this meeting, when Donald Trump will be meeting with Arab and Muslim leaders?
First, we have addressed yesterday historical injustice inflicted on the Palestinian cause. The General Assembly in 1948 recognized two states. One has been on ground, and the second has been realized maybe 70 years after. But if it makes to the United States, I think we need the administration to recognize that there is a world community and the U.S.-Israel position. They have to reconsider that daily killing is not acceptable. The arms deal to Israel has to be stopped. A situation similar to the South Africa sanction regime should be imposed, and if the president or President Trump wants to bring some ideas to the equation, has to understand that he and Israel are in one camp and the whole world is in another camp. And if he approves killing, he should stay idle. If he wants really to make a change, he should join the world community.
It's unlikely that the president's position is going to change in the next few hours or even the next few days. In terms of trying to reach a diplomatic compromise, how do countries in the Middle East go about that? Because there is an interesting point here, which is that Donald Trump is a close ally of countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE. What would they be presenting to him in terms of solutions in trying to end the war that's happening at the moment in Gaza?
I think yesterday the world community has said their word. If the president wants to come with new ideas, we'll listen to it. But from the early position of President Trump and his administration, one shouldn't really be optimistic at all. However, it is a process of mutual recognition and negotiation where the right and the world community and international law and principles in one camp, and killing and leaving children out of death is under another camp. If the United States want to compromise its strategic relations with the countries that you have mentioned in the Gulf and also with Egypt, we will continue in this blind support to the killing and the carnage in Gaza. The world community has paved the way towards a negotiating two-state solution, and I think we have to follow a sanction regime similar to what we have done with South Africa to bring occupation and settlement to its knees.
Ambassador Mohammed Higazi, former Egyptian Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us here on Newsday.
details on the Palestinian recognition story later on in this half hour. Now to the United States, where President Trump has claimed that the use of Tylenol, a brand name for paracetamol during pregnancy, may contribute to rising autism rates in America. Autism specialists say the president is wrong, and the condition is predominantly caused by genetics. Mr. Trump also made unsubstantiated claims about a link between the conditions and vaccines. So what does the scientific data say? Dr. Alicia Halliday is the Chief Science Officer at the Autism Science Foundation in the U.S.
One of the speakers today said that there were 27 studies linking, let's say, acetaminophen or paracetamol to autism. In fact, there are not. There were 8 studies that looked at an association, and just a couple of those showed an association. And those studies were very small, and one of them didn't really even look at maternal exposure at all. So they just kind of did a proxy of it. So we actually we believe, based on the larger studies that were conducted, that accounted for things like background genetics and maternal health conditions, that in fact it's not the acetaminophen or paracetamol that's the link. It's something else that's the link, and paracetamol is just whatever is associated with it. It's the whole causation, or correlation is not causation. So just because two things are associated doesn't mean one causes the other. You can easily just say that declining attendance in church service causes autism. If you see a decrease in attendance in church and an increase in autism, that's just as much of an association.
And so there needs to be much more work, does there, into the links between whatever factors and autism?
Absolutely. So this should not be the end of the story in terms of looking at the causes of autism. We definitely know that genetic factors are huge, both by directly studying the genetics, looking at twins and also family members. So we know that that's a huge component to it. But there are also environmental factors, environment thinking broadly, right? Anything from the neighborhood you grew up in to the chemicals you were exposed to, and everything in between. So there's definitely more room and more need to study environmental and gene-environment interactions in autism. But we strongly believe that people should listen to their OBGYNs or their doctors when deciding whether or not to take acetaminophen or paracetamol. Do not listen to people who don't have medical degrees or who have never seen you before. That's the other thing, is these doctors don't know, or these people don't know every situation.
It is very confusing for pregnant women, though, isn't it? Because you've got doctors saying it's fine to take paracetamol, you've got the government saying, in big press conferences, you really probably shouldn't be taking it because there is a risk that your unborn child could develop autism. Women are going to be very confused.
Absolutely. I would be confused. And the reality is that at the end of the conference, the conclusion seems to be to talk to your doctor. Doctors aren't going to tell you to just take as much as you want. They're going to say, why are you taking it? What's going on? Why are you in pain? And try to come to the nature of that pain. When it comes to a fever, it's absolutely important that women and children take something to reduce their fever, right? The dangers of having a fever, the known dangers of having a fever while you're pregnant or if you're a young child, far outweigh any sort of hypothesized link between paracetamol and autism that is sketchy at best. So if you have a fever, talk to your doctor. Hopefully they will give you advice to lower that fever, because that's absolutely essential.
There is also, yet again, without any evidence, blame placed on childhood vaccination for rising autism. This is something that's been discussed for many years. What is the evidence on this?
The evidence, this is the compound, or this is the environmental exposure that's been studied the most, right? So it has received studies are being examined by studies all over the world using large data sets, millions of people, looking at everything from when vaccines are given to what vaccines are given to different subgroups of people who may or may not be more susceptible. And the evidence is clear that vaccines are not related to autism. Secretary Kennedy has a strong personal interest in linking vaccines to autism. He spent many years as a litigator suing vaccine companies and also running organizations that push the link between vaccines and autism. So it's not surprising that he brought this up on a press conference, but the very fact that President Trump said that we should space out vaccines shows that he doesn't really understand the vaccine schedule in the United States because, of course, vaccines are not all given in one injection at one point in time. Different vaccines are given at different points across development to maximize the coverage against vaccine-preventable diseases, and at the same time allow the body to mount an immune response that will be long-lasting. You know, you made it seem like you said a vat of 80 different vaccine blends. That's not how vaccines work. They don't just pull a needle from a blend and give it once. They already are spaced. And the current vaccine schedule has been developed based on scientific evidence in human biology.
We're talking there to Dr. Elisa Halliday, Chief Science Officer at the Autism Science Foundation in America.
Well, she's now with Rebecca Adams. Hi, Rebecca. Okay, thank you. Well, Uzan Dembele and Antenna Bonmatthew were named as the world's best footballers. That was at last night's Ballon d'Or ceremony. Dembele helped PSG complete the treble last season, scoring 35 goals in all competitions, while Bonmatthew made history by becoming the first woman to win the award 3 times in a row. Only Lionel Messi and Michel Platini are the other players who have been recognized for 3 consecutive years. And Barcelona say that Messi will have knee surgery for a meniscus injury. He injured his knee in training last month after playing in Barca's opening 2 matches of the season. Meanwhile, Manchester City midfielder Bernardo Silva says that the schedule